thank you for letting us come to your house. This is a privilege. We're at the Porka Estates. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invite. I've been a huge fan of you guys forever, right? Flamingo Barbecue, great story. And then once I met you a couple years, it was like, dude, I love these guys.
It was nice.
What I mean? So thank you for inviting me again and allowing me to do this with you.
It's the least we can do, man. So here's a funny story. Like my wife was the one that saw you all. Well, Flamingo didn't exist before COVID. This was a COVID project. But my wife found you guys, and she was like, La Porka Nostra, first of all, I love the name. Instagram is awesome. You should check these guys out. And I'm like, oh, me being the social butterfly, I'm like, all right, I'll go check them out. I have my the Mingo was still very low. You know, it was still like in the couple hundred followers. And I was like, hey, let me just, make friends with Ray. And you're one of the most likable, friendly people in the, like, at first, some people that are not in the barbecue industry, by the way, you may feel like, oh, it's a little intimidating to reach out and get to know someone it's not at all like that. You know, I feel like the barbecue community, maybe South Florida, maybe just in general, I mean, I don't know, but I feel like it's very inviting, it's very welcoming. Yep. You know, even if you're just a weekend warrior or like an actual chef, I think there's a lot to learn from different people. So it's a nice community, man.
Yep. I couldn't agree with you more. Barbecue brings a lot of folks together, right? And it's funny that you say that, because a lot of people see the beard, they usually see the glasses on, they're like, man, he looks a little mean, intimidating. And then as they get closer and they just talk to you, they're like, dude, I had no idea where this was going. Dude, I mean, just come up and talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about this. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that I love about what we do is I get to interact with a bunch of really cool people. You, your wife, so many others in the industry, and it just brings us together. South Florida BBQ, baby.
It's awesome, dude. South Florida BBQ. I mean, I've only been in this space for 3 years, and I got a lot to talk to you about today because you are the 5th generation pig roasting.
That's right.
That's insane.
It goes back to my great-great-grandfather. So you're talking late 1800s, early
roasting pigs.
They roasted pigs, man.
Crushing cigars, having a great time.
Drinking rum, roasting pigs.
That's awesome.
Sometimes roasting multiple pigs.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they would roast one pig and just get a whole other hog and just fry that hog. And it was always bringing people together, family. Yeah. Right? And it goes back to those guys. And that's they're in every roast that you ever see me do. They're part of that.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
That's beautiful. How does it feel to have that legacy, right? Like you said, 5 years, 1890s, more or less. You're carrying the torch now, right? Like, how does that feel?
It's sometimes it's pressure, right? Because you don't want to ever let them down. And I'm truly my worst critic, right? I'll have this perfect looking pig where everyone's like, dude, I've never seen anything like this. This is the best I've ever had. And I'm like, man, this is like a 6.5 out of 10. And I'm just pounding myself. Yeah. And it's I just want to make it better, right? Again, I'm representing all those folks that taught me at some point, right? And that's my family. So, a lot of people are like, dude, you do the skin, and you do this, and you do that. Believe it or not, a lot of those moments, I'm thinking about certain family members that I had the pleasure to roast with it or no longer with us. So it's very meaningful to me.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are like, hey, the glory, the trophies, this and that. I'm like, that's all cool. But to me, there's a lot more meaning behind it than all that.
That's beautiful, man. It's all about finding your why, right? Like, it seems like you found it, or it found you. I don't know. I think it might have just found you, right?
Yeah.
Like it's part of who Ray is.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being a little kid, right? I was born in Cuba, right? So I came when I was 3. I have pictures of that, me being in Cuba. But ever since I can remember here, we were roasting pigs in our front lawn in Hialeah, man. East 20th Street and 7th Avenue.
There you go.
Corner house always had the front lawn with a big square of burnt grass.
Yeah.
That was our house. We used to do it in blocks back in the day, right? So we had to carry a bunch of blocks. And I was always fascinated by it. I was always fascinated by seeing my dad, my uncles, my grandfather. And I was like, man, I want to do this, you know? And as I got older, I wanted to do it better, right? I'm like, man, I gotta be able to do it better than what they're doing. So every pig that I ever do, still to today, you still learn from it.
Yeah.
No matter how perfect you think you've got that technique down packed, you don't. You'll always be surprised. Every animal's different. Every cook is different. There's many elements that go within a cook. So things change on you very quickly, and you got to know how to kind of adapt to those situations to get it consistent, right?
Yeah.
And that's the battle, continuing to keep it consistent and make it better. So that's always been my goal, just to continue to make it better. Never forgetting what they taught me, though.
Yeah.
Right. That base is always there. That foundation has always been there and will forever be there with anything that I do in regards to pig roasting. I just figured out new ways to do different things to just elevate what they taught me.
Yeah. But that's really cool, but it also keeps you, I mean, it makes it fun, right? Like, I don't want to, once you reach a plateau, you're like, okay, yeah, sure, I got it. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. This is, fun, but you got to, so one thing I really appreciate from watching you roast pigs, especially in the last, I guess, 4 years since we've met, you say it, but I've seen it. Every pig you've roasted, it's like you're itching to see, how can I make this, how can I reach one echelon higher, 100%. Different. And I feel like you reached that, in my eyes, when you de-skin the entire pig from back to front. Yeah. No, I think that's a one-time. I don't think anyone else has done that before. And I've seen other competitors in pig roasting circuit. The traditional, square, and then I think you started evolving it from the bottom. From the back. Yep. Next thing you know, boom, and I didn't even see it first.
Yeah.
A friend of mine called me. He's like, what your buddy Porka Nostra's doing? I was like, what's going on? He was like, I thought he was at a pig competition. Dude de-skinned an entire pig. I was like, send me that video right now. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it was.
Yeah, that first time we did that, I'll never forget. I was with a very, very good friend of mine, one of my childhood friends, George Medina, which he's part of the team. He's my right-hand dude. It was 31st of December, I want to say about 2-3 years ago. And I remember folks were posting pictures of their pigs, and I'm like, George, I have to change the game on this. I'm tired of the squared back. It's this, you're in the sea of sameness.
It's been done before.
It's been done. People do it. I'm like, I need to change this. He's like, well, what are you thinking about doing? I'm like, I want to take the entire pig skin off. He's like, yeah, but you're doing the back. I'm like, no. I want to do all 4 legs, the entire back, and the head. And he looked at me and he's like, bro, you're out of your mind. I'm like, we're doing it today. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, we're doing it. Just follow me. Follow me and we'll make it happen. And we cooked that pig, oh God. I think we got done with that pig like at 10 o'clock at night because I just wasn't happy with the tenderness it had. I know I had to reach a certain level to be able to do that in regards to skin, in regards to meat, in regards to heat on the bones. And when I got to that temperature, I'm like, hey, George, help me out here. He's like, all right, bro, let's go. So I start doing my thing, and he's just looking at me like, dude, you're going to do it. I'm like, and now I'm like in the zone. Yeah. It's 31st December, so I have my entire family here. People are like, bro, what the hell is he doing? Up, yeah. I'm burning my hands, and I'm like, hold on. And I went in, and I just felt what I needed to feel on that pig. And I looked at him, and I'm like, I got it. He's like, yeah? I'm like, I got it. I'm like, hold that side. So he helped me lift that entire swine for the first time. So that was an epic cook. And then from there, like everything, right? I started pushing that boundary. I'm like, wait a minute, I I already did it. Now let's do it better, right? And that's where we're at. Funny thing is, we're not done. We got more coming. So
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I think all the Porka Nostra followers. I mean, you have an authentic growing, man. You have an authentic following that really, like, I feel like the community really corralled around you guys because you guys are awesome, and you're awesome at what you do, right? So I feel like everyone's wishing you all a lot of success. We're all tuned in to see what comes next. But
that's super cool. And I'm super appreciative about that. You know, everyone sees the Porka Nostra. You know, they see the guy with a beard. Dude, it's so much more than me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sitting here, but you know, you have George, like I said, George Medina. You have my dad. He's at all these competitions that I would go to. You have Yase, you have Johan, you have David. I mean, you have a bunch of dudes that make up the success of this. It's not Ray. I'll tell you that right now. I would not be able to do a quarter of what we do without them. So that's very important to mention. You know, I'm nothing without those guys. And then our followers, like you said, we don't have 50,000 followers. We don't have 1 million followers. I mean, I don't even know if we have 5,000 followers at this point. But I will tell you this about my followers. We interact, so I know they're real. And I love that. I get text messages. I'll get in IG. What do you call that? Instant messages. Whatever that is. And I look and I respond, man. I respond. Guys are like, "Hey, I didn't even think you would respond." I'm like, "Of course, dude. You're reaching out to me to know something. Well, why not?"
Yeah.
So I think just being genuine, being willing to help, dude. It's that doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to help somebody, especially when it's just a, "Hey, what do you think about this? I'm doing this wrong, or I want to do this," and just share your knowledge, right? The day I'm gone, if I take all that with me, it was for nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I know if I give this guy a couple pointers, this guy, a couple nuggets to take, at the end of the day, where is that going? And I'm going to tell you where that's going. That's going to a party that he's doing with his family. And at the end of the day, if I give him 1 or 2 pointers that makes that his best pig roast ever, and his family's there to enjoy that with them, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, that's what it's about. So, just sharing the knowledge, man. I always tell everybody, like, dude, I got no secrets. I have no secrets, because at the end of the day, I could tell you everything. I could write it down. You still have to go do it.
Yeah.
You
have to execute.
You still have to execute, and that's what I can't help you with unless I'm there with you. Right. And obviously, I can't be there all the time. So, just sharing the knowledge, being cool, being genuine. I think that's what we're about. That's what it should be about. And that's definitely helped me evolve, helped the Porka Nostra evolve, and just have some, what I feel are the best followers to have are the ones that, they'll reach out to you, call you, talk to you, and I just love it. I love the interaction. One cool thing about social media is that it expands you, just not here in South Florida. You're able to touch and talk to and communicate with folks from out of here, right? Argentina, Brazil, Panama, Mexico, Texas, all over the place. I've met some really, really, really cool people through this barbecue journey, through whole hog cooking. I'm gonna mention 1 local and 2 international, right? One huge one for me, which we've been friends for years now, is definitely Carla De Lorenzo. I call her Carlita, right? She's an open fire pitmaster, female pitmaster. She's been a maverick at this. At this open fire barbecue game for years. She's the owner of Tanito Miami, Los Tanitos Miami. I'm sorry, and she's an inspiration for me, right? Being a female in a kind of a male dominant section, right? What she's been able to do and the barriers she's been able to break is just impressive. And not only that, but just the conversations that I'm able to have with her about things to do, is just incredible. International. Actually, let's go international, and then we'll go out of the state of Florida, right?
All right.
An international would probably have to be Juan Mock. A lot of you guys might not know who he is, or you probably do know who he is if you follow me. He's known as Juancito Te Lo Dijo, right? He's a pit master out of Panama, that has a syndicated radio show in Panama, and he's part of los Vidiosos del Asado over there. So they're like on IG every Saturday at 9. They have this great radio show, and this guy's like represented Panama on world barbecue competitions. Got to meet him. He came down here. We met up, and we've just hit it off. Probably about 2 years now that we've been friends. And every time he comes down here, we make it a point to do a cookout, right? So, Florida, definitely Carla. Some of the other guys I mentioned. International, Juancito Mock from Los Vidiosos del Asado. And one very, very special one to me. Very special one, which came out of social media, came out of nowhere. He is an open fire legend in Texas. One of the most humble people I have ever met in my life. His name is Javier Macias, better known as Big Hav. It's pretty funny. There's nothing big about Big Hav, right? This guy builds these asado crosses in his backyard. Literally, he fabricates everything that he cooks in, and he does whole steers, whole cows.
Wow.
For shows. He's part of Al Fragoni's team. But besides all that he does and the legend that he is in the open fire game, just his support towards me, his motivation towards me, his guidance towards me, has really been incredible. This guy literally drove down from Texas to come down here to deliver one of his crosses to me. And I told him, hey, if you're coming down from Texas to deliver a cross for me, an open fire cross that he builds, we're doing a pig at the house. He's like, really, man? He was like, really, man? I'm like, yeah, Hav, we're doing a pig. And we literally spent an entire day here cooking together, and that just builds a bond that I know will be a lifetime. So I'm super grateful for that. He's a legend in his craft. He really is, and he's a friend, right? Like I said, his mentorship means the world to me. It's pretty funny, since the day he left, doesn't go a week and a half that we don't communicate some way, somehow.
That's
awesome. Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've had some pretty cool folks that support me, support what we do, and that I learned from till today.
That's awesome, man.
Yep.
All right, so talk to me about your box. I know that's a showstopper, right? That's every cook we go to, and I had the pleasure of I cooked next to this man at my first. I mean, it might have been you've done a couple of those, but the pig roast bowl, right? Mm-hmm. So I cooked next to you that day. And since I was next to you, I kept seeing all these people come next to you and see the box, and all these people curious about the box. So talk to me about your box. It's a 1 of 1, right?
It's actually 1 of 2.
Oh.
There is 2 La Porka Nostra roasters. There's box number 2 was made for one of my favorite pit masters. His name is Anthony Nicolosi. This dude saw the box, wanted to learn the process, and we just went at it. Helped him learn a little bit. Not that he needed much teaching, because he is one of my favorite, probably one of the top pit masters I do know, all around pit masters. And he's like, let's make a box. I'm like, all right, dude, let's make a box.
Yeah,
you know. So he's got box number 2.
All right.
Yeah. So that box, again, it was evolving, right? Everything evolved from my upbringing, right? We would do blocks on the front lawn. And
now, for those that don't know, when you say blocks, you mean you put the hog. Explain that for folks that don't know.
So it's basically, you got cylinder blocks, right?
Yeah.
Cylinder blocks. You do 3 high. Sometimes you do 4 high, depending, how big the hog is or whatnot. Then you build yourself pretty much a cage almost, right? Or just a grates. Funny story, we would make our grates out of shopping carts. So remember the old school shopping carts that were all metal? Well, you used to get those, you used to open them up and you used to solder a couple of them together, and you had one of the best grates in town to do whole hog. So that's how we started, right? Put your charcoal on the bottom, put your wood, leña, like we say in Spanish, and then you go at it. At the age of, probably 1997, 98, I was already 17, 18 years old. I was kind of getting tired of carrying those blocks, right? Dad was like, hey, let's go, you're up. And it was take them, put them and down and take them back. And I'm like, dude, there's got to be something better. So we found this manufacturer that made the original Caja Cubana, the original Cuban box. So that gentleman since sold that business to some other folks, and they're still making boxes. But right around that time, it was probably 97, 98, we acquired the first Cuban pig roasting box, La Caja Cubana. And we still have it till today. Christmas Eve this year, I cooked in it. So we still use that box every once in a while. I'm like, you know what? I want to take it back to as close as the beginning as possible, and we'll use that box.
Yeah.
So then we got that box, and my block carrying days were over.
All
right?
Back felt better? Yeah.
Oh, man. Only thing is we can only do 1 hog at a time, right?
Right.
Back felt better. Hands weren't all bleeding from carrying them damn things. And from there, I just started now working on figuring out temperatures, figuring out internal temperatures, figuring out heights. And that's what evolved after hundreds of pigs and trial and error into, I know what I need to make the pigs better, make them look better, make them cook faster. And we went ahead and designed the Porka Nostra box. The only guy crazy enough to want to join me in that was my brother-in-law. Alfredo. He's like, dude, let's go, let's do this box. And I'm like, bro, you're out of your mind. So he really pushed for that, right? He's a big part of that box. And we reached out to some guys that he knew. George Perron, which is a great friend of mine till today. I actually spoke to him a little while ago before getting home. And I told George what I wanted. We drew things up. And George went to town. George went to town and cooked and started building that box. And we took delivery of the box, and we probably took the box back to George probably 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 times. Now, literally at that point, I was cooking a pig every single weekend just for us. I mean, the pigs were just being thrown away. Like it was literally 5 or 6 of us at the house. 65-pound pig, cook it,
run it.
We had a little bit and throw it out.
Yeah.
And I was just perfecting the box until we got it to where I felt was optimum level for that box. And that's how it was. That's how it was created, man. It's 100% stainless steel, fully insulated top and bottom. You got gaskets all over the place. I mean, we're able to do a 65, 70-pound pig with a small bag of charcoal.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah. So you made that box. You were successful with it, and I think that segues nicely into Brutus back here.
Yeah, Brutus, man. I've always loved cooking American style barbecue. I probably started doing that, God, probably 15 years old. I'll do like pork butts and ribs and things like that. And I still remember when I bought my first smoker. God, I was probably 22 years old, 21 years old. I bought my first smoker. It was a Brinkman vertical smoker. So had five little racks on it. It was gas, and it was meant for wood chips, right? And I'm like, I just looked at the wood chips, and I'm like, man, this doesn't feel like I'm smoking.
Yeah.
I want to smoke like the big boy. So I'm like, all right, let me figure something out here. So I tore that thing down there up, the burner. I tore it up, moved some things around. I'm like, I want to at least be able to use chunks, kind of make it feel like I'm using wood,
legit.
Right, legit. So crazy. I basically would smoke. What was holding those chunks was a cast iron skillet that I would put down there. Let the heat of the gas hit, and then I would smoke that way. Needless to say, some things were good, some things were horrific, right?
All right.
So that's how I started, and I just had a passion for it since very early on. And then I started looking at TV shows and pit masters, and I'm like, man, these guys are using these offset smokers. Definitely want to have one of those one day. And I met a couple folks down here that have really they really helped me in this barbecue world, right? You could call them mentors. They're friends to me and my family today. One of them is Mel Rodriguez, right? Texas guy, Texas pit master, from Austin, Texas. And he would smoke in these 1,000 gallon offset smokers, and I was like, Mel, dude, I got to learn how to do this. He's like, yeah, the day you do this, you're, that's
golden.
it. That's it. Anthony Nicolosi, I would see him as well, and still look up to those guys till today. And I was like, when I call them, like, hey, I'm getting my offset. They're like, what? I'm like, yep, I'm
It's
getting
time.
the offset. It's time. So I pulled the trigger on the offset, thanks to a good buddy of mine, Yusniel from Fireman Smokehouse. That's my offset is part his fault as well. So we link up through Instagram. He had a smoker that he was selling at that time, and we just started talking about it. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want something that small. I want something bigger. So he got me some contacts. And I decided to pull the trigger to design Brutus, which is behind us, a 325 gallon true Texas style offset smoker. Had it helped design it. Was made in California. It was driven down here from California several years ago, and that's what we like to cook in now when we're doing our American barbecue, right?
That's beautiful.
Brisket, ribs, pork butts, pork belly. I've even done rabbit, done whole hogs in there, beef ribs, you name it.
Yeah.
It's just a different type of cook.
Sure.
To me is very relaxing. I could literally just sit here and look at that middle dial for 12 hours. My wife Michelle tells me all the time, like, are you enjoying yourself? I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm in heaven right
now. I'm in heaven. I have my cigar, I have my beer, I'm looking at my dial, get up, throw a couple logs in there, and then the finished product is amazing, right?
Yeah.
And just like the pigs, it's evolved. It's evolved from when I started doing it to some of the things that we're doing today.
Yeah.
And I attest a lot of that evolvement and that success to guys like Anthony, like Mel, Carl from Hate Mondays.
Yep.
There's a bunch of these guys that I've looked up to for a long time that we're friends now and have helped me better that side of my cooks, of my barbecue. So
that's awesome.
yeah, man.
So Brutus is actually, I think, I think Brutus is famous, right? It was at a show recently. It got some exposure.
Yeah, Brutus did get some exposure. That's a pretty cool story, and something that I never expected would happen, but it did. And I'm super happy that it did. Not because of what we did, but because of the friendships that were created by that action. Right. I get a call from, actually I don't get a call, I'm sorry. I get a message through IG from a gentleman by the name of Phil Marrow. Right. And I'm like, Phil Marrow, who's this guy? I have no idea. But hey, I answer everybody. So I look him up. I'm like, Fort Lauderdale Food and Wine. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So Phil reaches out to me. He's looking for an offset smoker. He had a very famous pitmaster coming down from Texas to the Fort Lauderdale Food and Wine barbecue at the Beach VIP event. And after talking to Phil, I just we hit it off. Just asked him a few questions what the event was about, what it meant, what it was going to do to help others. And when he explained everything that the Fort Lauderdale Food and Wine does and how it gives back, I'm like, hey, I'm in. I'll help you out however I can. Mm-hmm. So Phil came to the house a couple days after that. He wanted to see the smoker. He took a couple pictures of the smoker, sends the pictures to the pitmaster in Texas, and he's like, that's exactly what I need, right? So fast forward to about 40 hours before the event. This is where things get really interesting, right? and everything happens for a reason. Unfortunately, that pitmaster had something go on in Texas and was unable to attend the event. Phil, I still remember the call. I got a call from Phil. It was like 7 something in the morning. He sends me a text. I'm sorry. He's like, hey Ray, sorry to bother you so early. I need to talk to you. So immediately I see that. I don't text him back. I just call him. I'm like, hey Phil, what's up? So Phil's like, yeah man, I'm in a bind. I'm like, what's up man? Talk to me. How can I help you? I'm like, hey, pitmaster's not gonna be able to make it. I'm like, dude, you're like 40 hours away from this event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I know. I need to figure something out. And he just, he asked me, he's like, hey, do you mind filling in and doing the event? And I'm like, what? I'm like,
what?
I'm like, what? I think I told him, like, wait a minute, let this sink in a minute, right? So I literally thought about it for like 30 seconds.
Right.
I think about it for like 30 seconds, and I asked Phil a couple questions, what we had to do, and so on and so forth. And basically, hey, something simple, man. All we had to do was just cook 12 briskets.
Okay.
Right? A 12 brisket cook. So easy peasy, as long as you have the time. Obviously, brisket, it's not something that you cook for 10, 12, 14 hours, and then you just cut it up and eat it. You got to let that thing rest, right? Yep. Let it rest 8, 10, 12 hours. So I'm doing the math here, and I'm like, 40 hours away from the event, got to cook 12 briskets. Well, that's 12, 14-hour cook. Let these things rest for like 8, 10 hours. I'm like, I don't have much time here.
We got to get started now.
I'm like, wait a minute, what did I just get myself into? So I tell Phil, I'm like, hey, send me the itinerary of how this pitmaster was going to do this cook. Well, he was going to do an overnight cook. So overnight cook, kind of give you an idea, the schedule was he was going to get there the day before, get the 12 briskets, trim them up, season them up, put them in the pit by 7 p.m., and do an overnight cook, feed that fire all the way through the morning, get done probably 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and put those briskets to rest.
Sure.
Then he would go and get some rest, and then the event started at 7 o'clock that evening.
24 hours.
24 hours. So at that point, the smoker's still here. Phil got a company to come and pick up the smoker and trailer it over there. And at that point, I'm in it. I'm in it already.
Yeah.
So I call my wife and I'm like, hey, babe, I got this going on. She's like, what?
Why?
I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. You don't get opportunities like this, every day. This is happening for a reason, and I'm going to do it.
Who else was cooking? There were some heavy hitters also cooking.
Oh, man, you definitely had some heavy hitters. You had guys like, you had Tina Cooks. Actually, Tina Cannon. Her Instagram is Tina Cooks. She's been, I believe, in Netflix. She's been in a bunch of cooking competitions. She's awesome. You had guys like Captain Ron. Captain
awesome.
Ron, Big Green Egg, Fogo Charcoal. You had a bunch of dudes, a bunch of badasses, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And just for me to be there, right, under pressure with like 40-hour notice, and I'm looking at this like, well, when I tell my wife this, she's like, all right, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I've got to cook 12 briskets and serve them. And then I started thinking, then it hits me. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a Fort Lauderdale Food and Wine. I just can't slice up a piece of brisket, put on a plate, and give it to people. They're looking for something more than this, right? So we literally had to come up with a dish, sauce, come up with everything in about 8 hours. And we did. I called a couple folks. I called Anthony Nicolosi. I called Captain Ron, which I knew he was going to be there. He had done that competition and won it several years. And they kind of guided me a little bit, but still with very little time to execute.
Yeah.
So we came up with a Mojo Rojo Aioli brisket crostini with a microgreen on top. It's about as foo-foo as you could get a brisket, let's just say. So basically, we just got our competition Mojo Rojo. I made it into an aioli.
Okay.
I called one of my buddies, Carl Hayden from Hate Mondays. He makes crazy sauces of everything. So I called him like, hey, I need to make this damn thing into an aioli. He's like, hey, try this. So literally went to the market. I bought everything that I needed, and we did like 4 different batches and until we came up with what I felt was good. And that's what we rolled with. And we went to the event, man. Got there like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My buddy, Usniet Smokehouse Barbecue, came over like around 4-ish to help me trim the briskets and season them. We did that, and at 7 o'clock, actually like 6:45, we put those briskets in. And it was just a waiting game at that point. Literally sat under that tent that entire night, just feeding.
Watch that
Tell True dial and just feed wood to Brutus. Tell you another crazy part, a lot of the wood was green, right? So we were, I was at that point, I was there by myself at that point. We're battling green wood, and that's probably like one of the worst things that could happen to you on a big cook like that. You have green wood, your temps aren't where they need to be, ton of smoke. So we battled that, and I got done like at 9:15, like at 9:15 in the morning. So it's like a 14-hour cook.
Yeah.
So, but it came out amazing. My buddy Anthony went over the night of the event, helped me out. My wife, Yusnia, went over as well. And at one point, Anthony was cutting the briskets for me as we were plating. And Anthony looks at me and he's like, dude, you have a chance to win this thing. And I'm looking at him like, what? Like, I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, you got a chance. I'm like, are you listening to what all these people are saying? I'm like, Anthony, to be honest with you, I'm not. I'm just trying to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the feedback was amazing. The feedback was amazing, and it was amazing from some of the other chefs that were participating that came and tried the food. When guys like that are coming to you and telling you, hey, man, this is real deal.
Yeah.
That says something. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You're painting a picture for us. You have 40-hour notice. You have all these briskets. You couldn't do it. It's not a one-man show. Who came out to help you support and trim up those briskets and make sure everything got cooking right?
Well, As I had mentioned, Yusniel got there to help me trim the briskets, season the briskets. But before that, when I get to the event, Phil's like, "Hey, I have this young lady that's going to help you. Whatever you need, she's here for you. No matter what, you just let her know, and it's done." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." You know what I mean? So I meet this young lady, Nicole. Nicole's her name. She's the butcher goddess. And I'll tell you what, butcher goddess. She's a goddess, because she did not know how else to help me. It was something incredible. Every 10 minutes, Ray, what do you need? Ray, can I do this? The support level that event gave the pitmasters, right, including me being there for the first time, was just amazing. I had never experienced anything like that. Andre, oh God, what's Andre's last name? Andre Anderson. Says barbecue church. I think that's his ID. I'm drawing a blank, but Andre was there as well. I mean, just the whole crew that Phil had there at that event. They were just amazing. The support that they gave, and not only that, but even the other competitors, right? Even the star-studded chefs. Tina right next to us. Anything we needed, she was willing to help. Captain Ron was there. He was a big part of my success at the event, before, during, and after. He actually won that event, so he killed it. He literally killed it with oxtail. So just my wife, Yusniel, Anthony Nicolosi, he spent the whole night cutting brisket for me, man. You know what I mean? We got a little rain during that time too, so it was a little bit uncomfortable. But it turned out great. It turned out great, and it just showed me, like, hey, there's no limit to what you could do in barbecue if you're dedicated, if you're a student to the game, if you surround yourself with good people. That's very important. Surround yourself with good people that are there to help you evolve. You know what I mean? And you'll be good. So. Yeah, overall, it was just an amazing experience. Something I can't wait to do again next year with Phil and his whole crew. Just definitely a memorable life memory experience for me. Something I'll never forget.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. Again, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Good and bad.
Right.
Good and bad, and you got to turn the bad into
good.
into good, and turn the good into better, right? So, like I said, the amount of people that I got to hang out with, to spend time with, and just the friends that I know I made out of that message from Phil. Is just an amazing thing to me. I know Phil and I, Nicole, Andre, I know we'll be friends forever.
That's awesome.
And it all comes through barbecue.
That's what it's all about, man.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. So you went on this event. This is basically one of the you primarily do pig roasting, so
yep.
you don't really dabble into barbecue showdowns.
Yep.
And you actually did pretty well. Yeah. You think you'll want to continue this momentum, this little wave?
Absolutely. I think cooking barbecue is something that I love to do. I definitely want to bring my flavors into
mm-hmm.
it, right? My main focus is Texas style, Texas style barbecue. I love Texas style barbecue. I'm not a big sauce guy, things like that. But I definitely think we could create something unique.
Yeah.
With that Texas style foundation of barbecue. And again, I love to do it. I love to see people enjoy what what you've worked at for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, and just to see them taste and just look at their eyes sometimes. You know, their facial expressions says it all. And I really enjoy it. And not only that, but again, just the people that you get to hang out with, talk to, learn from, is incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yep.
So, brother, you went from basically how did you get started into pig roasting competitions? By the way, I know you come from 5 generations. You're the first. Are you the first generations to start the competition thing?
Yep, I am. 2000 first pig roast competition for me was, I want to say, 2014.
Okay.
There really wasn't any pig roast competition around. At least we hadn't heard of any. And I'm a part of the Miami Outboard Club, right? That's where I had my boat. I'm still a member there till today. And they had a pig roast competition. It's like their second or third pig roast competition. They would do only within the actual membership of the club. And you know, everyone was like, dude, come on, do the pig. And I'm like, all right. So first thing I had to come up with was a name. Right? I'm like, okay, so what are we going to call ourselves? You know, so I drew out this long list of names, and I showed it to my wife, and La Porka Nostra was one of those names. And the more I saw the name, the more it just kind of hit me in the face. Like, hey, this is it. It was different to everything else. It wasn't clunky. It wasn't, you know,
too cheesy.
Right, too cheesy, but it had meaning to me.
What were there any? Do you remember any of the runner-ups that weren't La Porka Nostra?
I always tied in like my Cuban heritage to it, so it was like Cuban this or Cuban that, or I don't remember.
If you find that list, you let me know. I'd love to see it.
I definitely will. But yeah, you had stuff like that.
Yeah.
But La Porka Nostra just
had a ring to it.
Had a ring, but it had a meaning, right? La Porka Nostra, you could take it 2 different ways. You could think about it in regular Spanish, or you could think about it in Italian. It has, you know, La Cosa Nostra. Mm-hmm. So in Spanish, La Porka Nostra, it's our pig. It's our pig. And what happens every time that you do a pig? You're surrounded. You're surrounded by your family. You're surrounded by your friends. That's the one time that you can invite 30 people, that all 30 are going to show up, and they'll probably bring friends with them or other family members. Right?
It's an event.
It's an event. No matter how good or how bad you are at doing it, people are going to show up. So that's your pig. That's our pig. So I said La Porka Nostra. La Porka Nostra is going to be everybody's pig, right? People are going to flock to it. It's ours. Everyone, whoever's there, whoever supports it, it's our pig. And then you had the La Cosa Nostra, right? Like on the Italian side, which is somewhat secretive. Hey, you know, can't know La Cosa Nostra, yada yada. So the secretive side of that, you know, now when you get into the competitions, it could be the oil, it could be the mojo, it could, but the true meaning of La Porka Nostra is our pig.
It's beautiful, man.
That's it.
That's awesome.
That's it. So we came up with that name, and we entered this competition, and it was actually a pretty big competition for a boating club. I want to say they had like 22 teams. Wow. They had best skin, best taste, best theme, grand champion, and when it was all said and done, that was our first competition. It was my dad, it was me, it was one of my uncles, my wife, and we cleaned house. We won. We literally won every category.
That's awesome.
And that kind of opened my eyes, because they laid out all the pigs in tables. So you know how competition now, judges might come to your tent and see your pig. That competition, they literally got tables, 40 feet of tables, and they put every single pig next to each other. Oh. And now the judges would literally go down the row and see every pig next to next to each other. And when I saw that, I looked at all the pigs, and then I looked at ours, and I said inside of myself, I'm like, dude, I'm onto something. You know what I mean? And that kind of spiked the bug in me to, you know what? Let's go to other competitions. The judges that day came over, talked about the taste, talked about the skin. They talked about everything. And that kind of sparked the interest in, hey, let's see if we could do better.
Yeah.
Let's go to other competitions and see how we do. And then that's how our competition history started.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I wanna leave you with this, man. It's been great to hear and learn from how you started, because clearly we know where you are. Right, we've been following you for a couple of years, and you're doing great. You're kicking ass in all these competitions. Ray is very modest, by the way. He and his team do an incredible job at these competitions. From his wife there, like, hey, vote la Porka Nostra, to George and him and his dad. I've had the pleasure of cooking next to him, and it really is a sight to be seen. So you guys are doing great. You guys are doing great. But now it's almost like coming full circle, because you're putting together an event now. So you're going from spectator to like, oh, this is interesting, to newcomer, like a newbie, and now you've been in the circuit for 10 years more or less.
Yep.
And now you're seeing it. Well, let me take a step back. You've been a judge in some of these things too.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So you were a rookie, participant, judge, and now you're basically putting your own event together.
Yep.
Talk to me about that event.
Yeah, we're putting an event together for Monsignor Edward Pace High School. That's where I went to high school, class of '98. My godson is now a student there at Monsignor Edward Pace, and his dad JP, which is one of my best friends, said, hey, why don't we try to put a pig roast competition together at Pace, right? You have all these other schools that are doing very well with these pig roasts, getting funds for the school, for whatever they need, whether it's to give scholarships, whether it's to make the school, better, construct, whatever. And I told JP, dude, I'm cool. I just, that's a lot of time. It takes a lot of time away from you. I'm running my business, doing all the other barbecue stuff, putting a pig roast competition together. I'm like, oh boy. So knowing me, I couldn't say no. So we go to this first meeting. And we get to meet with some of the faculty there, John, Celia. We met the principal, Mr. Bont, and we just spoke about what this was about, what it could be, and how other schools are benefiting from this. My main thing was that I wanted to make sure that whatever we did, 100% of the proceeds of this goes to the school. If they were going to bring in someone that was going to charge to promote or charge for that, I'm like, no, I'm out. It's got to be 100% to the school. So we spoke about that. Everyone was on board, and then we just put pen and paper together. We built a committee, and now we're here several months down the line and getting ready for March 1st for the first ever Spartan Swine Showdown.
That's awesome.
It's just a great opportunity for these schools to build rapport amongst each other, bring back alumni that haven't been at the school for or haven't been back to the school for many years. You could almost make it like a yearly reunion, right? All in conjunction to help the school out, right? And just get funds for whatever they need. To help the kids, whatever it is that those funds are going for. It's a win-win. So you get to see your old school classmates, you get to see your coaches, your teachers, and you just get to be part of something special. And to be able to do this for my high school is huge. So that being said, man, we're on the horse already. So March 1st.
March 1st. It's January 29th today.
Yes,
28th,
it is.
29th.
29.
So you're about a week, you're about a month and maybe a week away
Yep.
from this event. And so Flamingo Barbecue TV is going to be right there with you,
Let's go.
documenting the entire journey.
Let's go.
Because a lot of people have asked me, what is, first of all, people are curious about pig roasting competitions, right? And then when I explain to them, and the first reaction is always, oh, I didn't know there was a competition for that. There's a competition for everything. Mm-hmm. So it shouldn't be that surprising. But a lot of what I hear is, oh, that's great. I want to participate. I want to go to those. I want to, see what it's like. But this is a unique window of opportunity where we can really see from your perspective, who better to put an event together of this than La Porka Nostra, multiple winner of different events to put your own unique event. So that's great, man. I wish you the most success. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be there every step of the way. We're gonna document blood, sweat, and tears of all this as much as we can. But it's gonna be a good one. And like you said, these events bring together family. They bring together community. An alumni that like you said you haven't seen in years. To this one thing, right? This one thing of ours, this Porka Nostra. Right. It's exciting.
That's what it's about, man. Just bringing people together, having fun, and showing a little bit of your culture too at the same time, right? I've always called it. People call it pig roasting, asados. I call it Cuban craft swine. I think it's.
There you go.
I think it's a craft. So.
There you go. Amen, brother. All right, brother.
Appreciate
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, man.
All right, thank you, man.
Thanks.